for Medigate to do what it does, on the back end, it has this database that has like the industry's best detail about all the healthcare devices that may be on any healthcare network on any given day, their firmware versions and all their vulnerabilities. And then in order to apply that to help us in managing risk and protecting a lot of times these very vulnerable devices, as Drex and Tom were pointing out, is we put these passive listening sensors on the inside of our network, and they're gathering all of our network traffic. And then the secret sauce for Medigate is their fingerprinting technology, where they will identify definitively each infusion pump, each glucose meter, each type of oximeter that might be on your network, and their exact firmware version and their exact vulnerabilities that might exist with them. So here we're in the Medigate dashboard, and we see here is obviously a clinical workstation. And I say obvious because it has a Windows operating system that we can see, and the very specific Windows operating system version. So many of you may know Windows 10 is going to get updated a couple times a year. A new version comes out, and that's why Windows 10 life cycle is being extended, is because Microsoft's updating it a couple times a year. And we can see at version 1903, well, darn, that's a couple years old. And if this device hasn't been patched since that was given out, it's probably got a ton of vulnerabilities. And I think 1903 was end of life at the end of last year. So clearly that's probably contributing to this critical risk score, which is why we found it in the dashboard. So here we're going to have, just by clicking in the Medigate dashboard, now we're going to drill down and get to all of the specific CVEs and their risk score, or their CVSS score. And so we can see right here, yep, there's the blue keep, and it's right there on with all the other vulnerabilities. We can sort these by their CVSS score and decide what needs to be done first. But all of the CVEs and their associated risk are here. And then on top of it, we're getting really enriched data about this, because CrowdStrike has passed over to Medigate information on 53 applications. You can see in the red box here. Because it's operating at the kernel mode, it knows what applications are on this box, and it's going to give us all that information and feed just the application information along with the CVE scores. The visibility that Medigate brings to the inside of your network, the traffic from each of your devices, is phenomenal. And being able to share all that information with CrowdStrike's, as Drex said, the crowd and the we, and their AI and machine learning technology, I think is huge. I think this is a game changer. Visibility is key to everything, to stopping breaches and stopping all the attacks that are going on today. And while I feel very confident with CrowdStrike and their best of breed award-winning EDR on all of my endpoints, having this extended visibility across the network is just a very, very exciting prospect from my perspective.
How do you navigate the pressure, Todd, from members of your leadership regarding if there are other products less expensive, cheaper, that are good enough? How do you champion best of breed like CrowdStrike and Medigate when there are other options or other perceived options?
Yeah, that's a great question. And all organizations have different budgets. They have different appetites for different problems that you're trying to solve from a security perspective. And so the best thing that I would recommend is to expand your peer network and talk to them and understand what the benefits are. You may find that it makes more sense, maybe to have a less expensive product. Maybe your needs will be met, but I always like to be able to just justify the value add through data. And a lot of times you can either get that through a POC or through your peer network would be my best pieces of advice.
Your business case can address this at the investment phase. And we provide a lot of support in this realm. Calculating value is often considered a very fuzzy process, but if you're directionally aligned, if you have agreement on estimation procedures, if you have agreement on levels of accuracy for the output, then calculating value isn't much different than calculating costs. Basically,
Yeah.
it's a process. And so I would tell you that we do, to address this very question, a lot of work with clients with tools that we have developed specifically to help articulate the business value and build a credible case. And I'll just simply end by saying, when you think in terms of, well, in any problem that's being addressed, if you're a manufacturer with a quality problem and a vendor shows up with a tool that can fix that quality problem, you're looking at very significant ROI. We are addressing essentially a green field, delivering automation and insights that have never before been available. So when the value of those insights, the value of eliminated manual routines and these workflow enhancements are rolled up, say, over a three-year analysis, you'd be blown away. I use that product recall example. Look at the impact on just that one workflow, given the visibility that is now available over, let's say, a 3-year period. And I think you'll find yourself in a position to be able to justify products like Medigate and CrowdStrike very, very quickly. In fact, your challenge is going to be making the benefits analysis as conservative as
Right.
needed to sell it effectively internally.
For IoT security, you absolutely have to look at the positive identification factor. If you can find a product that identifies more of your fingerprints them more definitively than Medigate, I say buy it, because I haven't seen one. And if you want to find a product that can stop breaches better than CrowdStrike, I'd say buy it, but I don't think there is one. So, I mean, that's what it boils down to. I mean, what are you trying to do?
The budget question is a challenge, but I think it ultimately comes down to outcomes and value and what you're trying to gain by implementing tools like this. And I think if you gear the conversation toward improved protection and better efficiency and access to more expertise, if you do something like Falcon Complete and you sort of take a piece of the business and hand it off to somebody who does it really, really well. And if you're looking at reduced complexity and reduced risk in the environment, those are all things that do have huge ROI payoff. And like Medigate, I'm actually immersed in a couple of these business value analysis projects right now. And Tom's exactly right. Sometimes when you get into them, even though all the numbers in there are perfectly legitimate, the ROI can be pretty astonishing, and so astonishing sometimes that, as Tom said, you have to sort of like step back and be super conservative to try to make sure that you're not scaring people with the ROI possibilities. So yes, as you have conversations with us, engage us about the BVA piece of this, the work that we can do around that to help you justify the investment that you're making, driven toward the outcomes that the organization really wants to have.